Hello and welcome to Go Southern Alberta. My name is Leanne Evans, and today on the show I'll be talking to Registered Dietitian Kimberlee Brooks, and she's going to be telling us all about healthy lunches for our kids that are back in school and some healthy snacks. So we have that and much more coming up on Go Southern Alberta. Welcome back to Go Southern Alberta. I'm sitting here with Kimberlee Brooks. She is a registered dietitian, and kids are back in school. So that means we're back packing lunches.
Yes, the dreaded feat for some moms and dads, hey?
Yes, I have 2 boys. You're saying you have 4 boys.
Yes, yeah. So we do a lot of lunch packing at our house.
Yes. Now, can you tell us some tricks to packing lunches?
Sure. So packing lunches is quite important because, as we know, our children eat lunches every day at school. So this can add up to about 200 lunches a year. So how do we make sure our kids are going to eat these lunches? So one of the things is to make sure you involve your children with packing the lunch, or even in their choices. So when it comes to asking what type of fruit they want, give them a choice between 2. Or if you're asking what kind of yogurt, you can give them a flavor to choose from. And that sometimes helps them, have some ownership over their lunch. As they get older, they can definitely do a lot more of the packing and kind of let that chore pass off onto the children rather than the parents.
So why is it so important to send them a healthy lunch to school?
Yeah, well, and like I said, they eat a lot of lunch at school, so we want to make sure that the foods that we pack are healthy and nutritious, and that's going to help them learn better. It's going to have them give them enough energy so that they can play, as well as contribute to all of the learning at school. So things that we can do is making sure that we pack 4 of the 4 food groups. We know that lots of children aren't getting enough fruits and vegetables and milk and alternatives, so we want to make sure that at lunch we try and aim for all 4 food groups, which includes a fruit and vegetable, a milk product, a grain product, and a meat and alternative.
Now we have quite a sample out here. Can you explain what we're showcasing?
Sure. So I tried to give a variety of different ideas of what you could do for lunch, because we sometimes get in a rut. And so as I'll demonstrate here is we have 4 different food groups in these examples. And so in our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle example here, we've done kind of a homemade Lunchable where I used a boiled egg, some cucumbers and crackers, and they can kind of mix and match that. If they didn't want crackers, you could do even just a slice of whole grain bread and margarine with that. And then along with it, is some cantaloupe and some milk. We do know that children tend to eat fruits and vegetables better when they're cut up and in bite-sized pieces, and so that's where the cantaloupe comes in there. And the second example I've given is just an alternative to a sandwich. We did a turkey wrap with some lettuce and cheese, and you can add some low-fat dressing in there as well. And I put tomatoes and carrot sticks on the side. And then we also have a yogurt and a nectarine. And then the third lunch is more of a hot option. So sometimes kids have access to microwaves at school and sometimes they don't. So in this case, I just prepared a ground beef barley soup that we have in an insulated container that we can heat up at home and keep hot. And then once they eat it at school, it'll still be at a hot temperature. And then we also have a whole grain muffin. And so that's another thing parents can do is if they want to make some muffins at home, you can wrap them and individually freeze them and then just kind of take them as you need. And we also have some hummus and vegetables there to go as a snack and a water bottle.
All right, now I find with myself, with my kids, that you're running late and you just find, well, I'm going to run to the store and grab a Lunchables or something fast. How do you get out of that rut and, preparing for your lunches?
Yeah, and it's a reality for most parents that we're all very busy. So planning really helps out. So I always say when you're planning your supper, kind of think of how you can stretch it out for lunch as well. So after supper, if there are some leftovers, think about pre-portioning them and kind of making the lunches right after you're cleaning up with supper. The other thing you can do is after you've gone grocery shopping, just take your fruits and vegetables, wash and cut them up right away, and put them in individual containers. Because if you have things like broccoli and cauliflower pre-portioned, or some cucumbers and celery, carrots, and even things like fruit like cantaloupe or grapes, already washed, ready to go, it makes packing lunch in the morning or even the night before way more smoother. And I mentioned you can do some maybe baking on the weekend if you wanted some whole grain muffins. Even things like whole grain crackers and cheese, making sure that you're stocked at home with some of those choices, it does make packing a lunch a lot more smoother.
Now, for the schools that have the allergy alerts when you can't send peanuts, what are some good alternatives for that?
Yeah, and it's a good question. Many schools will have that type of allergy, as well as others. So it's just being considerate of those parents and children that do have allergies. There are lots of options. So all of the options that I talked about today are peanut-free. I know a lot of times with granola bars, they're often sent to schools, and a lot of them have peanuts, but we are seeing now in the market a lot of whole grain granola bars that are peanut-free. All your fruits and vegetables are peanut-free. If you're looking for kind of some protein alternatives, that's where things like eggs can come into play, hummus, bean dips, even cut up chicken, right, cold chicken that you can use, and low-fat deli meat.
All right, perfect. So is there anything else you'd like to add about packing your kids' healthy lunches?
You know, it's very easy to get into a rut with packing the same thing over and over. So it's not a bad idea to just sit your kids down and kind of brainstorm some additional ideas, take them to the grocery store with you and see if there's, you know, a new fruit or vegetable they want to try, or maybe you'll try a new recipe for baking your own muffin or trying to make your own granola bar. And then just keeping the variety there, because once the variety is there, they're still going to enjoy that lunch every day.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We'll be back in the show later with you, and she's going to be telling us about some after-school snacks for our kids. So thank you so much. We'll be back later on in the show. Welcome back to the show. I am sitting here with Kimberlee. She is a registered dietitian, and she's telling us all about healthy lunches, and now we're talking about snacks. So tell us about what is a healthy snack.
So with a healthy snack, we usually try and recommend to have 2 of the 4 food groups. So again, fruit or vegetable, whole grain product, milk or alternative, or meat and alternative.
Now, when our kids are getting home from school, they definitely run for the cupboards, in my house anyway, and when it's getting close to dinner, you don't want them to go out and eat a lot of food. What should we be feeding them for a snack after school?
Yeah, so that's often a trouble at most homes because kids arrive quite hungry. So a good rule of thumb is try to allow at least 2 hours for a snack until the next meal. So if they're coming home 3:30, then having a supper meal around 5:30 or 6 is going to work. If you have an early supper at 4:30, probably having a snack at 4 or 3:30 isn't going to be as optimal. So try and leave those 2 hours. And then of course, when kids get home, they want to grab the first thing they see. So make sure that you have healthy choices available. So I always like to have a lot of fresh fruit on hand, some cut up vegetables, or some dips such as hummus or a low-fat ranch dip. Things like yogurt, whole grain granola bars, or muffins are good choices to have on hand.
Now, for juices, as you're explaining here with the juice, what's the best rule of thumb for that?
Yeah, so juice can be a healthy drink, but we do want to limit how much we have of it. So usually with children and youth and even adults, we say about half a cup a day. And so that's kind of an example there, is just a smaller cup. Juice can fill up kids quite a bit. So when why we limit it is because it can have a lot of sugar, even if it's unsweetened. So keeping it to half a cup shouldn't ruin the appetite.
Now, should we be sending our kids, giving our kids a snack before bed as well?
Yeah, snack times before bed are okay. And again, using kind of that rule of thumb. So I know a lot of parents complain their kids won't eat their supper, but then will want a snack again half an hour later. So again, having that 2 hours rule of thumb. So if they've had supper and then about 2 hours later ready for a snack before bed, that's fine. Again, we want to make sure that we're giving them a healthy snack. So things like your whole grain crackers and low-fat cheese, milk and a piece of fruit, yogurt and a piece of cheese, those would all be appropriate choices.
So making sure that our fridge is stocked with all the healthy choices when our kids getting home from school and before bed, so they can snack on something.
Yeah, and that's exactly it, having some things that are planned out. So as I mentioned before with healthy lunches, planning is going to be your biggest friend. So if you can cut up some fruits and vegetables after you get home from the grocery store to make sure that they're accessible, having other things like yogurts, even whole grain cereal and milk will make a good snack choice before bed.
Now, what's the best way to get our kids involved with making these choices?
Well, first of all is having them involved with some of it. So if they can come to the grocery store and maybe pick out 1 or 2 fruits that they want to have for that week, or if they get to pick out which whole grain cracker they want to maybe have, as well as making them involved at home. So giving them some choice between, what yogurts they want, or how they want it prepared. Some kids like, milk in a special cup. Some kids would like their vegetables cooked rather than cold, or vice versa, right? And a lot of times kids like dips. So if you cut up some yogurt and give them cut up some fruit and give them some yogurt to dip, or cut up some vegetables and give them some hummus to dip in, they're pretty happy.
All right, and how can we, stray them away from going right to the salty snacks and to the sugary snacks?
Yeah, and that's hard. One of the best ways is not to have too many of those things at home, because usually, unlike with adults, when you're hungry, you grab the first thing you can get. So if you are choosing some packaged snacks, a good rule of thumb is to look for snacks that have 2 grams of fiber and less than 8 grams of sugar. So things like your granola bars or some of those crackers or any of those packaged snacks, if you can kind of keep that in mind, that helps to keep it a better choice. And again, having a lot of those healthy choices on hand at home helps as well.
All right, perfect. Is there anywhere that people can find out more information on how to pack a healthy lunch, or, on snacks?
There is. So if you go to www.healthyeatingstartshere.ca, there's lots of ideas on healthy lunches and healthy snacks there.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. We have so much more coming up on Go Southern Alberta. That wraps up our show for today. Thank you so much to Kimberlee Brooks for telling us all about the healthy lunches and snacks for our kids that are back in school. If you've missed anything on our show, we are on Facebook at Shaw TV Medicine Hat, and also on Twitter at Shaw TV The Hat. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.